Today, you're about to witness a story that will shake you to your core. A woman betrayed in the cruelest way possible, abandoned while giving birth, and called useless by the one she loved most. But what happens next will leave you speechless. From heartbreak and betrayal to a shocking revelation that changes everything, this is a journey of strength, courage, and justice. Stay with us until the very end, because the twists in this story will completely blow your mind. You will see a powerless woman rise from despair to reclaim everything that was stolen from her, and the ending will leave you utterly stunned. Mary's body trembled with pain as another contraction tore through her. Sweat soaked the thin hospital sheets, and her hands clutched the metal rails of the bed, knuckles white, her legs shaking uncontrollably. She gasped, struggling to breathe, while the nurse hovered nearby, whispering softly, "Breathe, Mary. You're almost there." But her mind wasn't on the baby. It was on the cold, cruel reality that had just entered the room. The door opened, and there he was. John, calm, composed, dressed impeccably as if he had just stepped out of a business meeting, not a hospital labor ward. But it wasn't his presence that shook her. It was what he carried, a set of papers, heavy with finality. And beside him, a woman Mary had never seen before, glowing, confident, and visibly pregnant, her hand resting proudly on her belly. "I said sign these, Mary." John's voice was sharp, devoid of warmth. "Sign them or deal with the consequences." Mary's heart sank. Her voice caught in her throat. Why now?" she whispered, tears streaming down her face, mixing with sweat. "I'm having your baby." John laughed, a sound so cold it cut through her like ice. "My baby. You're nothing but a useless housewife who's brought nothing to the table. I've wasted enough years." Mary's vision blurred as another contraction hit. She screamed, gripping the bed rails as pain and betrayal collided within her. The nurse's eyes widened in shock, trying to intervene. "Sir, she's in active labor. This is not the time." "This is exactly the time," John snapped. "I'm ending this mistake. Sign now." Behind him, his mother and sister entered, faces hard, judgmental, full of the same disdain Mary had endured for years. "She's always been dramatic," his sister murmured dismissively. Mary's tears fell freely. "Why are you doing this?" she begged. "I carried your child. I loved you." John stepped forward, placing the papers directly onto her chest. "You stayed home while I worked. You thought cooking and cleaning mattered. It didn't. Sign. Or you pay every hospital bill yourself." The words cut deeper than any contraction. Alone in pain, with the people she once trusted standing around her as executioners of her dignity, Mary's world shrank to the space of the hospital bed. Her hands shook as she picked up the pen, every muscle in her body trembling with fury, despair, and helplessness. With a resigned, broken motion, she signed the papers. John snatched them away, satisfied. "Good. Security will make sure you never disturb us again," he said, his tone final, leaving no room for argument. He turned and left the room with Angela and his family, leaving Mary crumpled in the sterile silence, her body exhausted, her heart shattered. But even in the darkness, there was a flicker of strength. The nurse, whispering softly, guided her through the next contractions. Minutes later, the sound that pierced the gloom was small but miraculous, the cry of a newborn. Mary looked down at her daughter, tiny and fragile, her little fingers curling instinctively around Mary's hand. "I'm here," Mary whispered through sobs. "I won't leave you. I promise." For the first time that day, amidst pain and betrayal, there was a quiet, unbreakable bond, a reminder that her story was far from over. The door may have closed on one chapter of her life, but another, larger, unstoppable chapter was just beginning. Mary had barely caught her breath when her phone vibrated. The screen displayed a restricted number. She hesitated, fingers trembling, her newborn daughter sleeping beside her. Ignoring it seemed safest. But the phone rang again, persistent, unrelenting. With a shaky hand, Mary answered. "Hello." Her voice was barely a whisper. "Mary Wanjiru Anderson?" a calm female voice asked. Mary's heart skipped a beat. I think you have the wrong number, she said, confusion and fear twisting her chest. No, you're the right person, the voice continued gently. My name is Beatrice Johnson. I'm a lawyer with Anderson Global Industries. We've been searching for you for 30 years. Mary's mind reeled. 30 years. Her baby, the hospital room, John's betrayal, all of it seemed unreal now. She gripped the phone tighter. I don't understand, she whispered. What do you mean? We have proof, Beatrice said softly. Proof that you are the biological daughter of Jonathan Anderson, founder of Anderson Global Industries. You were stolen from the hospital the night you were born. Your mother, Catherine Anderson, died that night, leaving behind a confession. You were raised in poverty by someone who never told you the truth. Mary's vision blurred, her knees threatening to buckle. She stared down at her sleeping daughter, the tiny life she had just brought into the world, and wondered if she could even breathe. This isn't real, she whispered. It is real, Beatrice said carefully. And your father, he is dying. He has only months left, and his last wish is to meet you. To give you what was stolen from you, your name, your family, your life. Mary laughed, a hollow, broken sound. All of this, hours ago I was nothing. And now, I'm supposed to believe I'm someone else's daughter. Yes, Beatrice said gently. And you are in danger. Powerful people interfered for years to keep you lost. Your uncle blocked every attempt to find you, protecting his control over the company and its fortune. You must stay hidden for now. Learn, grow strong, prepare for the moment when you will claim what is yours. Mary's hands trembled, her mind racing. And John? She asked quietly. The man you once called a husband, Beatrice replied, voice calm but firm, is drowning in debt. The child Angela is carrying is not his. The betrayal you endured. They all underestimated you. Mary looked down at her daughter again, a spark of clarity rising from the ashes of heartbreak. When can I meet him? Tonight, Beatrice said. But you must be careful. Every step must be calculated. Time is your ally now. Mary closed her eyes, inhaling slowly. The world she had known, the world of betrayal, heartbreak, and helplessness, was gone. A new world awaited. One of power, truth, and the chance to reclaim everything that had been taken from her. And for the first time since the hospital room, Mary felt a quiet determination stir inside her. This was only the beginning. Mary spent the first hours after meeting Beatrice and the investigator in a haze of disbelief. The truth about her identity, her mother, and her father's empire was staggering. But beneath the shock, a small ember of determination began to glow. She would not let betrayal and lost years define her anymore. Not for herself. Not for her daughter. For the next 4 months, Mary lived in seclusion within a luxurious estate. Her world transformed overnight. Tutors and mentors arrived daily, guiding her through lessons in business strategy, finance, law, and corporate governance. At first, numbers and contracts were foreign. Terms felt heavy in her mouth, and she struggled to understand the language of power. She had been a housewife, budgeting groceries and cleaning homes, not running billion-dollar corporations. Yet, each time fatigue threatened to break her, Mary remembered the delivery room, the cold cruelty in John's eyes, the divorce papers pressed into her hands, the nurse comforting her through pain. Every humiliation she had endured became fuel. She pushed herself harder, learning not only to read and understand but to master the tools that could protect her and her daughter. Mary studied while her baby slept beside her, absorbing every lesson. She practiced negotiations with Beatrice, drilled on financial statements, and memorized company structures. Slowly, confidence replaced fear. Her posture became steadier, her gaze sharper. The timid woman who had trembled in a hospital bed was fading. Jonathan Anderson, frail and confined to his room, watched her progress with quiet pride. She's stronger than anyone could have imagined, he whispered to Beatrice one evening. Just like her mother. Mary also learned about the corruption and sabotage that had kept her hidden for decades. Her uncle had manipulated documents, blocked searches, and controlled the company in her father's name. Every lie and obstacle became a lesson in vigilance, strategy, and patience. By the end of the 4th month, Mary stood in front of the mirror in the estate's library. Her reflection was transformed, not just in appearance but in essence. Her dress was elegant, her posture regal, and her eyes calm and calculating. The fear that had haunted her was gone, replaced by a quiet strength and unshakable focus. Mary whispered to her reflection, "I am no longer a victim. I will not be broken. I will rise." The once powerless housewife had become a woman who could command attention with a glance, influence with a word, and reclaim everything that had been stolen from her. The preparation was complete. The world she had been denied for 30 years was waiting, and she was ready. 4 months of preparation, learning, and silent observation had brought Mary to this moment. The quiet strength she had built over weeks was now a weapon sharper than any anger. Today, she would step into the boardroom of Anderson Global Industries, not as the timid housewife once mocked, but as the sole heir and controlling investor. John, Angela, and his family entered the conference room, unaware of the storm they were about to face. John smiled, believing his last lifeline, an emergency meeting with a powerful investor, would save his crumbling empire. Angela's hand rested proudly on her belly, confident that her schemes would succeed. They did not notice the subtle shift in the room as Mary entered. She walked slowly, deliberately, her dress elegant, her hair pulled back, her expression calm and unreadable. The silence deepened as she reached the podium. She paused, letting the tension stretch, then lifted her eyes. "My name is Mary Anderson," she said evenly. The room leaned forward, cameras capturing every reaction. "I am the biological daughter of Jonathan Anderson, and the sole heir to Anderson Global Industries." Shock rippled through the room. John's face drained of color. Angela's confident smile faltered. Whispers rose as Mary pressed a button, and documents filled the large screen behind her. Contracts, financial statements, emails, photos, and proof of fraud and embezzlement appeared. "I have evidence of illegal financial transfers, embezzlement, and fraud within this company," Mary continued calmly. "Federal agents are waiting outside to arrest those responsible." Doors opened. Agents entered. Chaos erupted. John's uncle tried to intervene, shouting and struggling, but he was quickly handcuffed and removed as cameras captured the spectacle. Mary turned to John, her voice steady. "You divorced me in a hospital room while I was in labor. You called me useless. You buried me in debt and walked away smiling. I have reversed everything." John collapsed into his chair, trembling. Every loan, every deal, every company that once protected him crumbled under Mary's control. He realized, too late, that the woman he humiliated had become unstoppable. Angela, clutching her stomach, stared in horror as Mary revealed the truth. The child she carried was not John's. The room gasped. Exposure and betrayal had turned against them, the very weapons they had used on Mary now dismantling their world. Mary stepped back from the podium, her calm authority undeniable. "I didn't come here to shout. I came to close doors. To ensure that cruelty, lies, and manipulation no longer rule here." Agents continued arrests, cameras flashing, while the room descended into chaos. As Mary walked out, she did not look back. She had claimed her identity, her power, and her justice. John, Angela, and their family were left to confront the consequences of their actions. For Mary, the battle was over, but her rise, her victory, and her daughter's future had just begun. The chaos of the boardroom had settled, leaving John and his family defeated and exposed. Mary, however, walked through the estate halls with a calm sense of purpose. She had survived betrayal, heartbreak, and humiliation, and now she stood at the threshold of her true life. The days that followed were transformative. Mary assumed control of Anderson Global Industries, rebuilding the empire with integrity, vision, and compassion. She surrounded herself with mentors and trusted advisors, creating systems to protect the company from the greed and corruption that had once ruled it. Her father's legacy, long shadowed by deceit, was finally restored. Mary also dedicated herself to causes close to her heart. She funded shelters for abandoned women, hospitals for single mothers, and programs for children born into hardship. She remembered the pain of her own labor, the cold betrayal of John, and the isolation of being a mother with no support. Every act of generosity was a testament to her resilience. John, stripped of wealth and influence, disappeared into obscurity. Angela, humiliated and powerless, faced the consequences of her deceit. Mary no longer felt anger toward them, only a quiet understanding that their cruelty had revealed her strength. Mary's daughter, once born into a world of neglect and despair, now thrived in safety, love, and opportunity. Holding her child in her arms, Mary whispered promises of protection and guidance. "You will never be alone," she said softly. "I will make sure of it." Though her father passed just days after their reunion, Mary had been by his side, holding his hand and hearing him whisper, "My daughter found her way home." In his final moments, she realized that family was more than blood. It was truth, loyalty, and love. Mary stood at her office window one evening, overlooking the empire she had reclaimed. From signing divorce papers in a hospital bed to becoming the heir of a global dynasty, she had transformed heartbreak into strength, betrayal into clarity, and loss into power. The moral of her story was clear. Never measure someone's worth by their weakest moment. Patience, truth, and quiet strength endure far longer than cruelty, deceit, or arrogance. Mary's journey had proven that even in the darkest moments, a new beginning is possible, and that true power lies in rising with dignity, compassion, and unwavering purpose. And as Mary held her daughter close, she smiled, knowing that the woman once called useless had become an unstoppable force, a guardian of her legacy, and a symbol of hope for anyone who had ever been underestimated. If this story moved you, inspired you, or left you speechless, subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories like this. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video that will make you feel, think, and be amazed. And tell us in the comments which country you're watching from. Your support means the world to us.